to the channel. Thanks for joining me today. So this is the roof I'm cleaning today. It's deceptively big, I think, because when you look at it at first you think, oh, it's a dormer bungalow, but it's actually quite a big roof area, and there's quite a bit of moss on it. There's a lot of trees here sort of hanging over, and the customers actually said they've had a lot of the trees cut back. There were some that were closer to the property, so that's probably been encouraging the moss if it's been sitting very damp. But yeah, and there's these couple of dormers. There's just these two dormers at the front, there's two the same at the back, which just creates some awkward angles, but it is kind of lower down, I suppose you would say. So yeah, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. I've set the scaffold up ready to go, and the customers even had a go at cleaning a section himself on the back corner there, so he's confident that it's going to clean up well. But nevertheless, I think for myself, when you get to a job, it's very mossy like this, it's quite a big area like this, there can be some like apprehension about how it's going to go, but I'm going to try not to worry about it too much. I'm just going to get on, see how far we get. So yeah, it should be a good transformation. Let's see how it goes. That was tough going. There's some worse moss on this side, and it's pretty stubborn in places. I've been over the whole thing pretty much twice, so I've only come down so far. So because the roof is quite high, I'm going to have to bring down the scaffold to a lower level, I think, and then I'm going to go around and do these lower sections. The sun was right there, so that's why I put a hat on. It's going to become a bit of a graft by the time all that muck comes down, shifting all that muck. Apparently there is a compost heap, or not apparently, but there is a compost heap in the corner over there. So customers giving me a wheelbarrow, and I'm gonna just have to wheel all the muck down to the compost heap. But yeah, I think I've started on the worst bit, so as I go round, hopefully it should get a little bit easier as I go. We'll see. So yes, I actually feel like I'm making a bit of progress now. I've done those dormers, done all of this kind of 3/4 of the way down, and majority of the dirt is now sitting on that last bit of roof. Just a little bit of drop down. That's a bit annoying, isn't it? There's 2 piles of muck either side of the tarpaulin. I'm gonna have to try and work really well with the tarpaulin. I think try and catch most of it on there. Amazing transformation so far. It's coming out really amazing, especially in the sun. It's drying out quite quick, and you can see how light the tiles are. So massive difference to the property. And one of the neighbours has already come out and asked me for my details, asked me to give him a quote. So all good. So that has turned out amazing so far. Really pleased with the transformation. I don't think I've had a transformation that good for quite a while actually. So just because of the light coloured tiles underneath, it's just a real contrast to how it looked before with all the moss on it. So I've done all this side and most of this far side. I haven't quite finished, but I've taken as much as I can down to the compost heap at the end of the garden. So I've done as much cleaning up as I can, and I'll be back tomorrow anyway to carry on where I've left off. I feel like I've done the worst part, most of the worst part so far, and the far side should be a little bit more straightforward as we go down. It's a little bit easier. That's it for now. Okay, today's another day. It's looking so good this morning. A little bit of a chilly start. Funny, it's April, by the way, if you're watching this at a different time of year, and just cold first thing in the morning, but the sun gets up and it soon warms up. I left a bit of a mess last night. I don't normally like doing that, but all of this needs rinsing down, and then I'm going to rinse up here a little bit. I've still got to clear out the gutters as well. When you clear out the gutters, there'll be a bit of mess that comes down, and all the gutters have gutter brush in them, which I've left in. All that muck is sitting on top of the brush at the moment, so I'm going to vacuum out all the mess. Then I'll have to pull out all the gutter brush and probably vacuum it again if anything that's left in there. So there's a bit of work to do there. And then at the end we'll give everything a final rinse down, wash everything down. So yeah, bit to do. Let's go. So I've done all this side, and yeah, it's looking great. So I'm kind of telling myself this is the worst bit, get that done and the rest isn't going to be as bad. And I get round the corner and look at it again, and I'm thinking, yeah, virtually the whole of the back here is also pretty thick with moss. So yeah, got my work cut out, but I mean, on the far end it is better for the furthest end away from the trees. But yeah, a bit of work to do yet. So now I've brought all this moss down to the last sort of quarter of the roof. It's all piled up on there, so I've had to be quite careful about moving the tarpaulin. Try and make sure most of the moss drops onto the tarpaulin. I've already done that half there. And then with the wheelbarrow, it's doing trips down to the compost heap with the wheelbarrow. So I'm just going to get this last bit done on this side. So here we are, final day of this job, hopefully. Just got this last triangle to do on the end, and then just this side of the dormer on each end as well, so it's not too bad. Riley's here today helping me with the cleanup. He's already done a couple of trips of the wheelbarrow. So yeah, he's going to start clearing out the gutters as well. As I've gone round, I have been clearing up the moss, doing trips with the wheelbarrow. The compost heap is pretty full up now. There are absolutely piles of moss coming down off the roof. It's quite a big area, so especially when you get down those lower sections. And what I tend to do, it's not as difficult as you might think. What you want to do is not stop, because the water kind of starts to back up behind the piles of moss. So all you're really doing is teasing it down, and the weight of the water sort of pulls the moss down as you go. The worst thing is this kind of lower third, where I've kind of done all that top section. It's all piled up on that last bit, and I've stopped, had a break to have a cup of tea or something, and then it's kind of dried out a little bit, and then you've got to kind of allow the water to build up behind it again so that the rest will come down. But I mean, some people scrape it first. I find it easier just to do it this way, just do it all in one go. Especially in those corners where the dormer is, it all piles up in that corner, but the water gets behind it and it all just eventually brings itself down. So that's how I work it anyway. And yeah, it's been a great transformation, this job. So just get this last bit done. We're going to get the chemical treatment on as well today, and then yeah, we'll give everything a wash down, all the surrounding area, because it's all made a bit of a mess down the property. But all good. Hopefully it should be a nice sunny day again. So there we go, we managed to complete the actual cleaning of the roof, and Riley's been round doing the gutters, just finished clearing out the gutters, and then it's still a bit of mess to clean up down below here. So I'm going to start treating the roof with the chemical while Riley just finishes off the cleanup here. We don't want to rest on our laurels, because even little things like, usually do a quick rinse down of everything at the end, even that I think is going to take longer than sort of it normally would, because it being a big property and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, we're getting there, we're nearly there. So there we are just about done. Riley has literally spent all day going back and forth with the wheelbarrow. There is now a massive pile of moss at the bottom of the garden where that compost heap is. We filled up the compost heap and started making a pile next to it.
It's double the size.
And the pile next to the compost heap is bigger than the actual compost heap, I think. That is possibly the most moss I think we've ever shifted from a roof clean. Or one of the most.
For me at least.
So yeah, putting a bit of a graft today, but we've got it all done. We've got all the chemical treatment done. We did find a couple of broken tiles, which is quite common when there's so much moss on a roof like that. The moss is causing damage basically, so any imperfections in the tiles, the moisture will get into those cracks and crevices, and when it freezes especially, it can cause issues. So there was a couple of tiles I replaced for the customer low down at the back. There was one here as well, but amazing transformation. I think it was the moss was the worst at the back, and I've treated it with the chemical. You can see there's ever so slight sort of residue of moss where the moss was in places. It's all been treated, so that's going to die off now, and it will continue to improve in time. I love to do the chemical treatment always whenever we do a roof clean, because that will help maintain the roof in the long term. So every 2 to 3 years, if you reapply that chemical, it will kill off any algae that starts to develop on the tiles and help look after the roof, prevent any of that growth coming back. So that's what I try and recommend to people. That's going to be more encouraged here because of the trees, which seems to be causing an issue. It means that the roof will stay damp longer, that kind of stuff. So anyway, great transformation. Hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up and a like, would really appreciate it. Anything else, Riley?
Subscribe.
Got to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. All the links, more info in the description below, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye.